To listen to the media in this country, you would think that these are the biggest stories in America.
As the fallout from Donald Trump's disastrous summit with Vladimir Putin continues, so does the Mueller investigation into possible Trump-Russia collusion.
There seemed to be some sort of expense system in place, the Trump organization, for things that needed to be fixed, like a Stormy Daniels.
That conversation with Donald Trump that Michael Cohen secretly recorded is officially no longer a secret.
I think the big story here is the fact that you now have Michael Cohen has now flipped on Donald Trump.
But those stories are nothing more than meaningless stand-ins, distractions from the most important story of the day. And what is it? America's winning again because we have a president with guts. On defense, on manufacturing, our culture, trade, few presidents have fought the way Trump has. Even his former GOP foes have had to concede the obvious. Here's Marco Rubio on Trump's interactions with China.
On a broader scale, I don't know of any administration that's confronted China's cheating more than this administration has, to be fair.
Trump has steadfastly refused to cede America's preeminence to the communist regime of China. But remember, China already has a $23.2 trillion economy, which is almost $4 trillion more than our own. But with tough tariffs and blunt talk, he has now brought China to the negotiating table. That is a very good thing. And just today, the president met with EU Commission President to discuss trade. After Trump boosted tariffs on certain EU goods to create a fair situation for American manufacturers, the EU retaliated with tariffs of its own. But today, they were all singing a different tune.
We agreed today, first of all, to work together towards zero tariffs, zero non-tariff barriers, and zero subsidies on non-auto industrial goods. We will also work to reduce barriers and increase trade in services, chemicals, pharmaceuticals, medical products, as well as soybeans. It will also make trade fairer and more reciprocal.
When I was invited by the President to the White House, I had one intention. I had the intention to make a deal today, and we made a deal today.
Why hadn't any of these other presidents done what Trump did? They didn't want to, or they didn't have the brain power to do it, or they didn't have the courage to do it. But today, the market responded, closing at its highest level since January. And this kind of advance wouldn't have been possible if Trump had not raised the issue and raised the ante with the EU all along. The market is soaring. Wages are beginning, ever so slowly, to rise. In fact, 213,000 jobs have been added here just last month due to Trump's policies. GDP growth is strong with an expected huge number this Friday. Bottom line, it is a great time to be an American, someone who's working, who wants a job. And to top it all off, the president's Hire American initiative has started to produce results. There was a 41% increase in denials of high-skilled H-1B visa applicants between the third and fourth quarter. That helps American citizens over foreign workers in the job market. It's about time. And the president is doing all of this while battling the deep state, the unfair media, of course, all the international bureaucrats we've come to know and love, and establishment politicians here in Washington. And there are some congressmen who, despite all this great news, just refuse to get the memo that, the Bush era is over.
I don't support tariffs. I think tariffs are taxes, and I think there are better tools that we can use to hold abusers of trade laws and countries that perpetuate unfair trade practices. I think there are better tools to use to get them to play fairly.
I have a question. If those magic tools were out there, why weren't they used before? But what tools? I was looking at the toolbox. What are they? And let's remember what some other experts in Congress were recently saying about the tariffs.
A wildly swung bat that is hitting our closest allies in a way that harms our national security, harms our chances at better trade deals.
I just think there's so much collateral damage. I think it's a very risky and dangerous strategy.
This is an abuse of presidential authority. It's an abuse of presidential authority.
Well, once again, guess what? They're wrong. Trump stood for America with a tool that every president has used in one form or another, and our economic competitors ended up doing the thing that he predicted they'd do. They came to the table, they started listening, and they made concessions. More are coming, by the way. So rather than taking potshots at the president, Republicans should be celebrating and promoting this approach to trade in the economy, the Trump agenda. It's also their clearest path to victory in the midterms. Which reminds me, by the way, a word of caution for this president at the same time. We got to talk straight here with all the good news, also a word of caution. Every time, Mr. President, you comment on the latest Michael Cohen tape, or every time you spar with lowlifes like Brennan or Avenatti or any of them, I think what you do sometimes, you end up giving oxygen to the stories advanced by your political opponents to distract from the most important story. That's America's economic resurgence and the restoration of our place in the world. So Donald Trump should be taking a victory lap almost every week in a different way, shape, or form. Things are awesome right now. The more the president and his party focus on that story, the more the Stormy, Mueller, Michael Cohen sideshow is diminished. The media attempt to distract voters from the lived experience of the Trump economy. But I'm telling you, it's not working. My radio listeners tell me every day, we don't care about these stories. What's in my bottom line? Trump's approval, by the way, today at 48%, according to a new American Barometer poll. The voters know reality, and they're tuning out the rest of this stuff. It's kind of white noise, background noise to them. They can see the impact of this presidency every day. They can feel it in their pocketbooks. They can feel it in their lives. And that's the angle.